From birth, we are immersed in our culture and taught the ways of society. We're also taught how to learn. Cultural anthropologist Marcia Mikulak is here to tell us what she has discovered about learning. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you're originally a concert pianist, and we have, this is actually an instrument of yours on our set. We have other instruments kind of scattered around that are homemade, but tell us how music led you to working with children and learning.
Well, you know, life is a bag of tricks, so to speak, and you never know what's going to come your way. I wrote a grant that originally was not going to be funded because it wasn't within the purview of the funding organization. So it ended up being rewritten for learning disabled children, and I took it. And I decided to do something that really, really interested me, that I'd never done before, and that was to build musical instruments.
So you built musical instruments. What kind of projects did you do with the children?
I used all kinds of things. Something very well known within the music community, particularly in new music, is Pauline Oliveros and her work with sound. And I had children do all kinds of listening experiences that had to do with sort of cleaning their ears. And I'll give you a quick example. It might take a phrase like, did you wash your socks today? Okay?
I did not, but...
Oh dear. Okay. Well, did you wash your socks today? And you would repeat it over and over and over. Or, and another person might say, Mommy, Mommy, and you have to keep your rhythm. Did you wash your socks today? Did you wash your socks today? The other person has to keep, Mommy, Mommy, and then while doing rhythms. And so we did multiple skills that were very difficult to do.
Well, and then what kind of results did you get from this?
Well, in the end, after a very incredibly short period of time, 4.5 weeks, the children that I worked with who'd been tested with pre-tested and post-tested with speech perception difficulties were all testing above normal.
Wow. And was there a specific moment for you when the light bulb went off?
There
with
was.
Learning?
There was.
What was it?
It was actually when the students were, I also had them build instruments. And that meant they had to tactically get involved with the creation, thinking, and bringing forth of an actual real object. And then they created an orchestra. And they became conductors. And they also had to go outside and collect sound and bring it in and play it for us. And we had to guess what that was. You know, just a whole bunch of sensory development stuff, painting and music from around the world. And when they were conducting, they got it. And I knew something had happened there.
It was special.
It was extraordinary. Something integrated in them.
And you created your own Institute of Learning.
I did.
Why did you do that?
Because of this experience. I wanted to figure out what happened. I knew something had happened, but I didn't know what.
Okay. And how did that differ from your work in the school, the Institute?
Well, the Institute didn't have any kind of academic structure around it. We weren't using any behavioral modification. In fact, children were asked to come. The only rules were come in and explore the world. You know, what is it that really interests you? And it would usually take 6 months, kind of like a butterfly, flitting around this and that and trying this and that. And then the children would decide on something and they'd focus.
Well, you've taught in both. So is the standard way of learning broken? Do you think does it work?
I think it worked for the Industrial Revolution. You know, it taught us how to do systematic and routinized tasks and to know a body of information that we all had to know. And we still need to have that. But learning is something very different. And interest is very different than what we tend to label it as.
And then fast forward a little bit further now to Brazil. You went to Brazil and you studied children there who were on the streets.
I did.
How did that transition?
Because I had gone to Africa twice on private funding. I went to Mali and Zimbabwe, and I worked with children, and I did all kinds of experiments to try to understand something about how we learn. What is perception? How do we view the world? And as you can see, I'm doing anthropology, but I didn't know it. So that led me eventually to do work in Brazil, because I grew up in Brazil. I know how to speak Portuguese. I would never learn how to speak Bambara. An African language. So Brazil was a natural.
And what did you find on the streets of Brazil?
Well, I found that what we know as a child, what the constructed notion of a child is for us in the Western world, Western European world, is not the same as it is in China or Eurasia or Brazil. The street children are the ancestors of the slaves that came to Brazil. So they're the great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren. That they are traditionally on the streets and are encouraged to be aggressive and to generate money, to be part of the world.
Did you ever feel aggression from them? Did you feel in danger?
I was in danger, and I was attacked. But I also understood why they attacked me, and that's another whole story, but you know, they've been researched to death, literally. Brazil is where street children are murdered.
Why do you think it's so dangerous on the streets there with the children? Why are they dangerous?
Well,
aggressive?
I think streets in general are dangerous. When you take street kids and you put them, which is normal in a favela, in a slum, and you take them and put them downtown in the business district with tourists, you take this innocent and put them into a dangerous a setting of the street, they become dangerous.
Okay, well, let's tie all this together now. Across different cultures, can you tell us what is the thing that is true for all children in learning?
I think all humans are driven by a natural biological instinct to taste, touch, and smell and be a part of the world. And we are the creators of our inside world view. And culture is that totality of what we learn.
Well, Marcia, very interesting research. Thank you so much for sharing it with us today.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're watching